What's the most complicated noise you can make?
It's a turkey.
Yeah, do it again.
No, this is great.
Yeah, it used to be
Now,
better.
Zach, you try.
Yeah, try.
I'm gonna go with like the more stereotypical
Oh, you're gonna do your
turkey
own.
sound.
Oh, okay.
It's not bad either. I mean,
I have a weird thing.
I'm coming with no experience, so for me, that's not
Yeah,
bad.
now you have to go. You can't be the only one not doing
Yep.
turkeys.
Oh.
Try the throat thing. See what happens.
Polly, we need that, Polly. Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek. I'm your co-host, Zach Badger Davis. Sitting to my right is...
I'm Juliana Chauncey, a.k.a. Chance.
Few reminders before we get to today's bird-friendly episode, book bundle.
Yes, it is our annual holiday season bundling of the books. It's a very merry, jolly, festivus time where Zach and I take both of our books, we sign them, we put them together in a nice little package, and we send them to you. And they
Also,
are...
you get a Backpacker Radio sticker.
You get a Backpacker Radio sticker.
So,
that's exciting. I didn't know that.
It's worth the cost of admission right there.
And they're discounted.
Yeah.
So you get a deal on both books. You get a Backpacker Radio sticker. And what? Give us a stinger. What is Appalachian Trials about, and what is Pacific Crest Trials about?
Yeah, great question.
We haven't
I think
really gotten
there's
to
probably people that listen to this that don't even know that either of us wrote a book.
Yeah.
I've written 1.5. Appalachian Trials is the psychological and emotional guide to thru-hiking the Appalachian Trail. There were every piece of information available regarding how to hike both the AT and PCT and just thru-hiking in general in terms of logistics, physical prep, everything under the sun. But really the thing that knocks most people off trail is not the logistics, not being in shape enough for it. It's very emotionally and mentally difficult. As gear has gotten better, the completion rates have not, if that doesn't tell you anything. My pack weight has dropped probably 8 pounds in the course of my thru-hiking career. And if people are not mentally prepared to complete one of these trails, there's a very high likelihood that they're not going to make it through. And this book is aimed at getting their head right before they hit the trail.
Amazing. Hiking from home. This one, I had seen a lot of books written for hikers on, like what Zach's saying, how to either physically understand like a trail like the Appalachian Trail that walks you through how to backpack, or that handles the mental aspect. Just a lot of books on how to hike or about a hike. And I learned through my time hiking and through this podcast, like a lot of the questions that we were getting, especially when I was hiking, a lot of the questions I would get on YouTube videos were from people's parents, where their kid was hiking around where I was, or their husband was hiking around where I was, and they'd be watching the videos to try to get comfortable with what they were doing. And I realized there wasn't really anything out there for someone who is supporting a long distance hiker rather than taking on the hike themselves. And it's a 4 to 6 month endeavor for the person at home as well. And a lot of people, especially someone in a relationship, goes into it wondering, is this going to strengthen my relationship? Is it going to break it? What are they doing? I think a lot of the concerns come from not knowing what's happening when someone's out there hiking. And so this book, Hiking from Home, a long distance hiking guide for family and friends, is meant to be an informative guide for those supporting a long distance hiker. It explains the basics of long distance hiking, as well as the logistics, such as what gear is carried, how hikers eat, where they sleep, how they know where to go. It addresses safety concerns from extreme weather conditions to illnesses and injuries, while teaching the reader about the culture and community surrounding the trails. It gives tips for how to stay in touch. It gives tips for what to do when communication's lacking, how to remain supportive before the hike begins, while it's happening, after the hike is over. Just how to get through this hike when you're not the one doing it. So that is a great holiday gift for someone who is announcing a thru hike maybe to a family member or partner, and unsure of how they will respond, or maybe you have a very worrying parent or a worrying anyone. This will give them a lot of peace of mind because it'll take a lot of the unknowns out. And I think the really nice thing about the holiday book bundle is the books go so well hand in hand, because you get one for you that teaches you the mental aspects of what is really a huge part of your hike, which is being mentally prepared for it. That's going to knock more people off than the physical. And it's going to have a little something for the person at home that's going to give them that confidence as well. And ultimately, it's going to make your hike nicer because they're going to show enthusiasm towards it in a way that's helpful and not a way that makes you want to pull your hair out. Yeah. So that's our spiel on our book bundle. And we always bundle them together at the holidays, and it makes a really nice gift. So.
And our price comes with a 33% discount. Retail would be $60. We're selling them for $40. So
signed.
Hit us up in the link in the show notes. As always, there's a limited number of these bundles available because I don't want to order too many books. So we've got what we've got.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're signed. And you get a Backpacker Radio
Get
sticker.
them while the getting's good.
If you guys enjoy this podcast and you want to give us some additional support, you can do so at patreon.com/backpackerradio. We try to do anywhere from 1 to 3 bonus episodes per month. Some recent ones we did with Katie Jackson. What was the subject on Katie? That was long enough ago now that I'm forgetting. She broke down the differences between down and synthetic insulation.
Yeah.
That was a wide-ranging conversation. We touched on a lot of different subjects, and Chauncey and I have terrible memories.
We've recorded like 3 episodes in between. It's so hard to separate them in my mind. But I remember we had fun on that one. Yeah, no, I'm not remembering very well at the moment. But we have been putting out more on Patreon. We've been very much trying to make it something that is worthwhile for you to spend an extra $5 a month on. Picture subbing out 1 coffee in your month for an extra something on Patreon. And it's a really nice way to support the show if you are a fan, if you've listened, whether it's just you picked it up in 2024 or you've been listening since the beginning, a whopping soon to be 8 years ago, which is madness. It's a really nice way to be able to support the show. It helps us have the funding to do things like hire staff to make nice videos for YouTube and put out like nice social content and keep the lights running in here and just put on a really great show where we're not depending on advertising dollars. So if this is a show you enjoy and you have had a good time with us, it's a nice way to be able to help us keep the lights on without having to be dependent on ads.
So very appreciative of you guys.
Yeah.
We've also done discounts like the Backpacker Radio hat. We did a small number through the store for Patreon people and gave them a nice discount, stuff like that. So, and if you are a Patreon supporter and there's some specific content that you'd like to hear, hit us up. We're very receptive to your feedback. Lastly, but not leastly, is if you're taking on a long-distance trek in 2025 and you want your journey featured on a large, thriving platform, hit us up. We're currently accepting not only applications for our 2025 bloggers, but I think we're also going to dabble with getting back into the vlogger game. Jess is currently whipping together that program. Ooh. So if you will be vlogging your hike in 2025, the link to both of those applications will be available in the show notes. Okay, let's get right to our interview with Alison Kondler. We are joined by today's guest. Alison Kondler is an Audubon Master Birder. Can I say it like this?
Sure.
Puts me in the correct zone. Avian advocate and educator and wildlife filmmaker. Alison first became interested in the sounds of nature, especially that of birds, at a very young age, and has since become a keynote speaker on the topic of bird sound identification using mnemonic-based techniques for auditory, visual, and emotional learning styles, and is an expert birding field trip leader. Alison, thank you so much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Thanks for having me.
What is an Audubon Master Birder?
An Audubon Master Birder, there's only a few courses in the United States that gives this course. They're Audubon societies. One of them is in Denver. It's called Denver Audubon. They give the year-long course on bird watching. So we'd go out every weekend and go bird watching. And by the end of the whole course, we had to know 100 birds by sight and 50 birds by sound. And that might be changed now. I was class of 2008. But it's very intense. It's like a college course, pretty much. It's even more intense because you have classes, you have homework. So yes, that's an Audubon Master Birder. You go through this course, and then I became a mentor. So I went through the course again, and by then I was pretty good at birding.
Yeah. Is there an estimate as to how many Audubon Master Birders there are?
There aren't very many. They are very selective. I've been a field trip leader since forever, and 20 years maybe. And so you have to know something about birds to be in that course, at least here in Denver.
Yeah. So are you like the sommelier of birds? Like, is it that kind of a rare expertise?
It is a rare expertise, though here in Colorado, there are lots of expert birders.
Okay.
Interestingly
Competitive
enough.
market?
It's not competitive, no. It's a place where a lot of birders are, and because of that, they're out and about all over the place, in the mountains, in the prairies, and they count birds. And so there's so many rare birds that they find because we have so many here.
Yeah. And what's the most common career path, or what does somebody typically do with this degree, certification?
It's not necessarily a degree. For me, it's just a pure soul passion. Ever since I was a child, I can communicate with birds and other animals. I've been able to mimic them and have conversations with them. So it's this life. I have to do it. It's the sole purpose.
Are you like Eliza Thornberry? Do you know the wild thornberries?
I don't.
It's a Nickelodeon show. She can talk to animals.
Oh,
but,
okay.
like, she can understand them, and like they talk back. It was a cartoon, but do you?
It was a cartoon.
Yeah, so
I'm not familiar with that
it's
one
not real
either.
life. I'm
Okay.
aging myself, but like, do you feel like they know what you're saying and you know what they're saying? Level?
At this point, yes. Back when I was a kid, no. I mean, I would just mimic them, and we would have conversations. I would mimic what they were saying, and I didn't know what it meant, but I knew that I had a connection with them. But now that I've studied them for so long, and I've seen their behaviors in the field and have studied, I know what they mean.
Yeah.
So it takes time to know what they mean. But yeah, different sounds have different meanings. It's a form of communication through words.
Did you grow up in a really wildlife-centric family? Like, were your parents really into birds, siblings into wildlife or anything like that?
Well, my mom was a backyard bird watcher, so she had bird feeders. At that time, I was living out in Aurora, and it was a field in our backyard. So it was prairies. And in that time, parents just pushed you out. Get out of the house, kids. Get out of the house. You know, we didn't have parents back then. We really didn't. And so that's what I did. They pushed me out into the fields pretty much. I had nothing else to do, so I'm going to go hang out with snakes and birds, and you know, that was my childhood.
Yeah. I think latchkey kids were kind of the norm back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, my parents did the same thing.
What's the name of the kids?
Latchkey?
Latchkey.
Isn't that it? Is that the...
Sure.
What does latchkey mean?
Just means like you are raised without supervision. Just kind of,
Yeah.
you go outside and then you come back in when it's dinner time.
When
Yeah.
the streetlights go on.
Yeah.
When was the first moment, because you mentioned since you were young you can notice the little meshing with the birds. When was the first moment that you can remember that you had a interaction that was like more than just a normal kid seeing a bird?
Well, I used to talk to western meadowlarks. They're a bird that's bright yellow. You'll see them out on the prairie. They sound like this. Let me do that again. I have to inhale. They
I
sound
was
like
super
that.
impressed with the
This
first
is going to be
go.
such
Oh,
a fun
really?
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. You're our first
That's-
birder. So, yeah, this is going to be amazing.
You should hear me whistle.
You're
It's not
you wanna
good.
try? No?
No.
Okay. Well, that was the conversation I had as a little kid, because those western meadowlarks in the spring and summer, they're here in Colorado, and they're along the prairies, all along the west, and they're a classic spring sound, and that was the first mimicking whistle that I was able to do.
So, with these calls, are you able to get them to call back? Are you getting them to come to your yard? Like, what's the outcome of the calls?
Well, mimicking there's a fine line of when you can do it, or when you should do it, or when you shouldn't do it, I should say. It's more if they are nesting or breeding or they're in a state of like cold weather, you don't want to be doing these sounds to them because they need to be doing what they would need to be doing, which is surviving, looking out for predators, and eating. But on those off times, when they're just kind of, here I am, it is the outcome is they come to me. Is that what your question was?
Yeah, I guess I don't even know what the purpose of a bird call is. Is it to elicit a response? Is it to get them to be like attracted to you and actually come to your space?
This is such a me thing. I don't know. Like people are like, yeah, this is this purpose behind this. It's just something that I've always done. But it is. You feel very powerful when they come to you and you have a conversation. It's like talking to God almost.
Yeah, I'd feel so powerful.
It's very, and then especially because I lead field trips, doing that and having birds land on my shoulder or my hat and things like that, everyone's in awe.
Landing on your shoulder, wow, that's wild.
Imagine like breaking up with someone and doing it in a public setting and just like whistling and these birds just come and sit on you, and it's like, I would use that to mess with people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use my powers for good.
But I must say that certain times of year, they don't even give a shit. Can I swear on here?
Yeah, you can swear.
So they don't even, the birds don't even care.
Yeah.
Because they're either molting or they're doing things, or they don't have the hormones anymore. So the males are usually the ones that are just like, hey, you're in my territory. And they do territory songs. So that's a lot of times why they're coming up.
Huh. So you have to get them when they're a little bit horned up.
So in the fall, if I was to do a chickadee call, which they do, chickadees are, like, let me do it this way. Have you heard that sound before?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a black-capped chickadee. If I do that in the fall, they might respond because the juveniles who were just born that year, they're practicing. So like, ooh, let's practice together. But they're not going to respond as much as in the spring when there's a female around and I'm whistling and then that bird is singing, and we're both for this female. That's when it just gets all feisty.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So the birds can actually tell the difference when it's coming from a bird or a person?
I don't know. I don't think so. No.
Oh.
And that's where, if you're good enough, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're just whistling, they'd probably know.
Right.
But for me, they don't know.
Yeah. How long did it take you to get indistinguishable?
Not long. And the reason being, when I was a kid, my mom, I was the youngest child. Start from there. And so to get attention, I would go.
This is such a fun episode.
I would just continuously, and it would drive all my siblings and my parents nuts. And so when I think I was 10, my mom got me this book called Mouth Sounds by Frederick Newman. So look that one up because they're still in existence and there are even longer editions. I think the one I had, it's all about how to mimic sounds. And at that time it was a little record in there, and I studied that thing. So I studied sound from a very young age and mimicked sound.
Yeah. Do you have a good singing voice? I bet
I
you
was
do.
just about to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a singer.
Yeah.
I still am a singer, but in a band.
So I know with singing, there's things you can do to improve to become a better vocalist, but like there is sort of a cap, right? Like you're born with an ability and you can move within that range. If somebody's lacking the vocal ability to be a good singer, can they be a good bird callist? Like, do those things correlate?
I couldn't tell you how many people can do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if they can hear a tune, then maybe if they can whistle that tune. But if they don't have that tuning in their
You gotta
brain,
be able to match pitch, right?
well, and then the whistles a lot of them are so high pitched that it takes practice to get that high pitched.
Yeah. Do you do any non-bird wildlife?
Yes.
What do you got?
I haven't done these in so long. I used to do stand-up comedy, and this was back in the day when it was a very popular thing. Like stand-up was like Roseanne and Ellen and everybody. Okay. Let me do it. Cheers. Fizzies. Let me do water.
Yeah.
Like on the edge of my seat.
Close enough.
We going frog?
Nope.
What do you got? Not a frog. Frogs are deeper.
I know the sound,
I'm not
but I
gonna
don't
say
know
what
where
it
I know
is.
the sound.
We're gonna have to give us the answer.
Is
key
it
here.
like some? I feel like it's deceiving. It's got to be some sort of like an insect.
Oh, yeah, insect, like a cricket.
There you go.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding.
I
Cheers.
bet you that one. Cheers. I'll cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, we should do the cricket after I make a bad joke.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Polly, clip that clip. What's the most complicated noise you can make? We're gonna go all over the place because I'm just gonna get distracted by this.
It's a turkey, but I haven't done it for years. Do you want me to try?
Yeah, please.
We won't know if it's bad.
Yeah, even if you're the
It's good practice. I haven't done it for so long.
Do it again.
No, this is great.
Yeah, it used to be
Now,
better.
Zach, you try.
Yeah, try.
Yeah, Jack, try.
Jack.
Zach. You gotta hold.
Well, I'm gonna go with like the more stereotypical
Oh, you're gonna do your
turkey
own.
sound.
Oh, okay.
It's not bad either. I mean,
I have a weird thing.
I'm coming with no experience, so for me, that's not
yeah,
bad.
now you have to go. You can't be the only one not doing
Yep.
turkeys.
Oh,
Try the throat thing. See what happens.
can you do it one more time?
You don't have much of a double chin.
Polly, we need that, Polly. Wait, one more time.
No, it's okay.
She's all red.
Once is enough.
Yeah,
We've got a long episode. There'll
You
be
are
more
camo
sounds.
with your hat right now.
That's the perks
Yep.
of being a ginger.
This is great. I'm
Yep.
already having so much fun.
Yay.
Do you know much about like the history of the Audubon Society, like how it came about?
I don't.
Okay.
Would you like
cool.
to enlighten us?
No.
Okay.
I mean, 1905 is what Wikipedia says in Massachusetts. John James Audubon is the guy. I mainly
What
know
are the odds?
I know the name Audubon because my
Crickets.
family growing up has, I'm ignoring you, has like one of those clocks where like each hour is a different bird and each
Oh, yeah,
hour
yeah.
makes the bird sound.
Mm-hmm.
Best part was friends coming over and they would just hear these bird noises and
yeah.
freak out. But it says Audubon right on the clock, so that's my knowledge.
Yeah.
All right, since we're on the subject of bird calls, what's the most common bird that you'll hear in Colorado? And does that mean that it's the most common bird in Colorado or like the bird that is the most vocal? And we can
There's
keep
quite
it
a few common birds, but
Yeah.
I could name a couple of them. House finch. You know, you're waiting for it.
Yeah. That's how my dog looks at me when I've got bacon. Is like I'm waiting for.
No, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, exactly.
House finch, you'll hear a lot of times their call. And when they see a hawk, they do this too, which is very strange. They do this. Well, let me get to the birds have alarm calls, and it's usually really harsh and house finch sounds just like they do if they were like, hey, there's a feeder over here. Then they go, okay, I need a sip of beer. But so I'm not doing it quite right, but that ending, a lot of times you'll hear this song in the springtime. That's a house finch. It's like wee. And I teach this in all of my talks. I teach how to remember bird sounds.
Yeah.
So that is a sound clip. It's just a little piece of a bird sound that you can remember the whole song.
What does that part mean?
Well, in the spring when they have a lot of their hormones, it gets high pitched. And then it's like it's hormone based. I think I'm not sure what that thing at the end is, but when there's more hormones, there's more song to the house finch. Another common bird is the black-capped chickadee. You'll see a lot of those around. Mourning doves. You'll see Eurasian collar doves. You'll see those guys. You're the first like radio that have heard these.
I'm honestly couldn't be more entertained right now.
Yeah,
this is amazing.
This is really fun.
10 out of 10 entertainment. Yeah. Okay, what about the most exotic bird call that you'd hear? I'm saying Colorado. We can keep it to like the greater Denver area.
Exotic.
How exotic do you think Denver is?
Well, I'll go rare. Exotic, just meaning something that like.
Are you just wanting another bird call? Or are you really interested?
Well, I mean, I've got a line of them, so yes.
Can we expand it to anywhere? Because there's exotic birds in other places.
Sure. I just assume that Colorado's your specialty.
Colorado's well, I know a lot of them, but as far as mimicking, because I'm around them all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give them all away.
Okay. It doesn't have to be let's say not the most rare, but like one that you're especially stoked to hear, maybe a little bit less common.
Well, the chickadee I already did, so I love the chickadee song.
How about any owls? I know the Who Cooks for You. That one's on the Appalachian Trail. That's the one that we usually know is to listen for the Who Cooks for You, like that sound.
Yeah.
Are there any?
And what owl is it?
A barred owl.
Yes. See, people are birders and they don't even know it.
Do you notice that people usually start to get the birding itch at a certain age?
Well, because of the pandemic, the age thing has changed, which is for the better. It used to be the older population, 50 and older. And when I started birding, it was hardly any women. So I started birding 20 years ago. So it hasn't been that long. And I'm just talking about Colorado. Now, when I used to go birding, it was me and a whole bunch of old guys, like really. And then, which I learned so much from them. But now you go on a birding trip and it's mostly women. Older women. So now, let me get back to that. The pandemic changed things because the people went outside and all of a sudden they're outside and they're looking around and they're like, oh, there's birds. They've realized there's birds out here and they're singing. And now millennials are starting to really get into bird watching.
We're hitting our midlife crisis.
I was going to say, I feel like birding is like the stereotypical midlife crisis hobby, but yeah, I guess.
I don't think so. I think because people really understood the joy of the feeling of peace, because that's what nature, I mean, you guys know, the outdoors and nature and being outside. And then let's say you're in a city and you don't have that and you see a bird. It will instantly help you get back to nature. And they're so accessible. That's the beauty of bird watching.
Yeah.
What do you think attributes to there being more women into birds these days?
I don't know. It's cool.
What's your take on the movie The Big Year?
Oh, it's a fantastic movie, and everyone, if anybody, if I say I'm a birder, hey, have you seen The Big Year? And it's like, it's great that movie, even so many years ago, still sticks in people's head. I think it's a great movie. There's so many funny things in it, and the people who are in it, Steve Martin and
Jack Black. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either. They just snuck it in on Amazon Prime. I'm like,
Have you seen it?
I fell asleep about halfway in. Not a commentary on the movie. I have 3 young kids, so sleep will just hit me out of the blue. But I enjoyed the half of it that I saw.
What's it about?
Birding.
Bird watching. Oh. Well, it's more of a bird there's different types of birders. There's the competitive ones, which is the big year type people who go out and list everything, and I'm showing my age. They list all the birds that they see.
So what is the goal of the big year? Is it to see every bird species? Is like specifically
It's to beat the last person. So in 1 year, you see this amount of birds. So they have so much money that they can travel everywhere. Yeah. Oh, there's a rare bird here. I'm flying there right now.
So
that's a cool flex.
In the hiking world, there's fastest known times. That's like a competitive facet of long distance hiking. And in order to claim a fastest known time, there's all kinds of you have to track it on a GPS and say your intent and do all these things to make sure that it's legit and that it's actually happened. Yeah. How do people who are doing these things prove that they've seen all these birds? Do they have to get a photo, or is it
Well, a lot of times if there is a rare bird, they do photos. But if there's a rare bird, there's other birders around. They flock to those rare birds. But I don't. I'm not that type. I guess I'm competitive, but I'm not one that I'm like, oh, I missed that bird and I'm going to be mad about it forever until I see it again. And there are birders like that. For me, I'd rather look at the cool behaviors that they're doing. And even if it's a robin or something really common, for me, if they're doing something, oh, look at that, it's surprising to me, that gives me that dopamine hit.
What are the birds in Colorado that someone might travel out of state here to see specifically?
That's a good question. The brown-capped rosy finch is located up at Summit Lake at Mount Blue Sky in the summertime. I believe they used to be endemic here.
That's a pretty bird. Like a little raspberry chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really beautiful. They're the size of a finch, so like a sparrow. And they nest on the cliffs up near 14ers. And so people from all over the world come here for that.
Wow.
That's cool.
I think they've moved, or they're only in so many places. I think they're in New Mexico too. Thanks for talking birds with me. This is so fun.
Thank you.
Oh
do you own any birds?
No.
Oh. Have you ever?
I would be sad.
Okay.
What's your take on like house birds, parrots, that sort of thing?
As long as they're not smuggled in, and then they are raised to be people birds. They come from egg and they're imprinted on. To each their own. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
It gives people joy, and if it gives people joy, that's awesome. But for me, if I saw it, I would just be sad.
Which birds out here are the assholes? Is that the sparrow?
There's many.
Talk shit on birds, yeah.
Yeah, my wife is into
birds.
birds. I'm definitely the dunce in the family on this subject.
Okay.
But we have one bird that comes in, because every year we get like a bird nest on our front door. And I think, is it the sparrow that comes in, tries to eat the eggs?
Mm-hmm. So the house sparrow is the kind of common one that you see if you're eating at a restaurant, and they're the ones that are bouncing around, those little brown ones. They're sometimes in DIA, the airport.
Yeah.
Yes, they can be aggressive, and so a lot of people don't like those types of bird because if they're on the feeder, they'll push other birds away. But at the same time, they got hit really bad with West Nile, so there's not as many of them here as there used to be. There's another bird that pierces eggs, that's probably even more of a bad guy in the bird world, and that's the house wren. And if you have a bird box and your bird box is filled with sticks, it's a house wren. They build their nest with sticks, and they make a maze down with sticks to their nest.
Isn't it funny that this thing's a jerk? They're so cute.
They are so cute.
But yeah.
And they have a really pretty sound. I can't mimic that one. It's very complex. I could play some sounds for you too if you want.
We only want to come out of your voice.
Okay.
On that subject, what is the easiest bird call to replicate? Like one that you're teaching to novice birders?
I'm teaching. I've never really taught these, like how to make bird sounds. But I would say if you know how to whistle, then the Townsend Solitaire. And if you're a backpacker, and you're a winter backpacker, you'll probably hear them singing in the wintertime, which a lot of birds don't. So you'll hear a bird singing in the winter, and it's a Townsend Solitaire. But their calls, it's really simple. You guys have to try it and get some water.
Like an inhale?
Well, inhale, for me, for my mouth, it's louder.
Yeah.
You can whistle in? I know,
I didn't know
actual whistlers can. I certainly cannot. I mean, I can try.
Can we hear it again?
It's one note. You can whistle out. You don't have to whistle in.
Jinx.
Can't believe you said that to me.
And that's their contact call. That is the call that they tell others, I'm over here, I'm over here. And they guard juniper berry bushes and trees. So you'll see them if you're going out hiking, look for those juniper bushes and look for this gray bird with a white eye ring. And they sound, American robins. That's the American robin. So and I can't really mimic it, but I'll try. This Townsend solitaire is. So it's an American robin on caffeine.
Love that.
It's faster.
Yeah.
But it's not quite. I mean, you can interpret bird sounds all different ways.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to mnemonics.
I'm waiting.
Are you guys speechless?
So many ways to go.
Chauncey's got that look like she's ready to ask a question.
I just don't know which way to take it. I'm going to take it because we mentioned the bird boxes full of sticks for the house wrens. Do you have tips? Because we had Skirka on last week and we were talking birds. And they had issues with squirrels on their quest for the right bird feeder. And I saw on your Instagram you have videos with tips about bird feeders and tips about pesky squirrels. So if we're free gaming where to take this, I'm going to go to
squirrels.
How do you pick, nope, not yet.
Okay.
How do you pick the right bird feeder for your yard, and what's the best way to like get certain types of birds and keep away ones you don't want?
So there are bird feeders, and I've got it all on my channels too, like the specific bird feeders that you can get. But ones that there are, if you go to a birding store, I would recommend that first. Don't go to Amazon. Go to a Wild Birds Unlimited, or here in Colorado, the Front Range Birding Company, which is excellent.
Is that Boulder, Denver?
There's one in Boulder and there's one in Littleton, and they're fantastic. But they'll have feeders specifically to just deter squirrels from eating all the food. And that's I don't mind feeding squirrels, and a lot of people love feeding squirrels. They're like, how can you be so mean to squirrels? And it's like, I'm not being mean. I'm just trying to not have them eat all of the food. So there are feeders that they can't get to. There's like cage feeders, and then getting a baffle. So if you have a bird pole, like a bird feeder pole, they have these cone baffles, so they can't climb up the feeder pole and get to the feeders. Some squirrels are really destructive.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. You don't want them eating your bird feeders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10, where do you stand on squirrels?
I think they're cute. I have got 2 twin babies in the yard right now, and they're so adorable. But I just don't want them on my feeders. But they're the cleanup crew. They clean up all the bird scraps, and birds drop a lot of food.
Yeah. You're safe to say that you don't like squirrels on this podcast. Squirrels are very whatever in my book.
Speak for yourself. I spent an entire summer growing up trying to catch a squirrel. Specific one. I cooked him. I made him? Well, no. There's more in that sentence. I baked him cookies. Oh. And every day I would leave out cookies and feed him. This is like typical kid on summer break. Parents aren't home. Like, what do I do? Baked him cookies. Started feeding him lots of cookies. The squirrel got crazy fat. And I put one of those upside down milk crates like on a little thing and started putting cookies underneath it, and it was attached to a string that went through the porch window. And I spent a lot of days trying to catch this squirrel.
That is so TikTokable.
Yeah.
If you ever do that again, you have to record it.
It's probably for the best I didn't have TikTok at that age. But yeah, no, I didn't succeed. And so, yeah.
But why were you trying to?
So she could
so
cook it
cute.
No, I wanted a pet.
I wanted him.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
Wanted a little friend.
Yeah. And rabies. I want to go back to bird calls. This is so much fun for me. In your opinion, what is the prettiest bird call? We can do Colorado, or we can open it up. Prettiest bird call that is in your repertoire.
In my repertoire.
No?
No.
Skip it? Okay. Yeah. Okay, how about just in general? We can go to YouTube for this.
There's 900 and some birds in the United States alone, so I'm just like going through my filing cabinet at the moment. And my filing cabinet's not very organized. Let's see. Let's just stick with Colorado. Let's just go with a western tanager. Western tanagers are a bright, colorful bird that a lot of times when they're migrating through, you'll get to see them at your feeders. They nest in the Colorado mountains, and you'll see them. They're red and yellow, and they have black wings, and they're beautiful.
Yeah. It's just funny because this will be the next segment, but I already have this one queued up.
Those are just calls. So the perleep is like a drunk robin. They sound like a robin, but they're not a robin.
Okay, so you dove into my next segment. I was going to play clips of bird calls, and you were going to tell me what birds they were.
Oh, it's bird quiz time.
Bird
Oh,
quiz.
okay, wait.
Oh.
If she gets them right, you take a drink.
Sure.
If you get them wrong,
I only had 3 lined up.
me and you take a drink.
I only had 3 lined up, and what are the odds? That
They
was
have to
one
be
of them.
Colorado birds, though.
Yeah. I'm just saying that was one of the birds that I had lined
Okay.
up.
Will you owe us a drink?
I love this.
You
Yeah.
owe us a drink. Because she
She's
got it.
gonna get drunk tonight.
Only because it's Tuesday. Okay, here we
Okay.
go.
Can you play that louder?
Yeah.
It's a. I want to say it's an osprey.
That one is a golden eagle.
Okay.
That counts as an osprey, right?
No.
John says to drink for that
No,
one.
it's an osprey.
Like,
I knew it was a
you don't know what
raptor.
it is, but you're just. That's definitely right? Okay.
Yeah. It's all about how confident you say
And the thing
something.
about bird sounds is they're all variable. So even if a different golden eagle will sound different from that. So
Interesting.
not all of them, but.
I'm confident.
Do you want to name it?
No, I'm confident in
Oh,
you.
you might.
We're on the
Oh,
same
okay.
team.
It's house finch.
Instantly, you knew.
Well, that's the one I was.
Yeah.
That's the common.
Hold on.
Sippy.
House finch.
I have to load up some more here because I had 3 and.
Okay, we can go back to it. We can
Yeah.
just insert that in between things.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Do
another-
songs more than calls because calls are really hard.
Ooh, note that.
But let me tell you about a website really quick.
Yeah.
It's called Xenocanto, and it has bird sounds from all over the world, bird recordings from all over the world. So if you want to hear any bird from in anywhere, it has them.
Perfect.
Anyway.
Now you know where to find your next calls.
Oh, yeah.
And it starts with an X.
Yeah.
So it's Xeno.
Oh. A question on woodpeckers we had on our list, which was how do you get them to stop? Like when they're on your house and you're just sitting there and your whole house just feels like it's vibrating because the woodpecker's just going at it. How do you get them to stop that?
Well, there's different meanings why they're doing what. There's different meanings as to what far as why they're doing it. In the springtime, you'll just hear this. It's just this continuous. And a lot of times it's on your gutters. They're not doing anything. They're just waking you up.
There's no point.
Well, they're not doing anything to your house, I should say. But they are trying to attract a mate. So this is what they do in the wild. They'll find the tree that has the deadest piece of wood, and they'll go onto every single limb and try to find the loudest one so that it will carry across the forest.
Oh.
And so now that they're in our backyards, they found gutters.
So-
Or they found like exhaust, like metal exhaust things from your bathroom or whatever.
Yeah. What's your view on crows?
So let's just keep going with one more thing about.
Yeah.
You guys are so excited. But if they're poking holes in your house, you can go to a birding store and get a birdhouse and put it right over that hole. Because what they're doing is they're pecking a hole. There's no way in. So like, okay, I'm gonna go over here, and there's no way in. So if you give them a bird box right over that hole, then they're happy and they won't poke holes in your house anymore.
Can you give them like a piece of sheet metal, just like dangling from a string? That way they stay away
I've
from
never
the gutters.
tried. I've never tried that.
Holes in gutters seem problematic.
No, there's no holes in. I mean, it's not. They're not putting holes in your gutter.
Oh, okay.
It's just the sound. I don't think they peck as hard as when they're like trying to get a bug out of some wood. Oh, that's another thing. If your house is infested, so that's an indicator that you have termites or something.
Mm-hmm.
What's your view on crows?
They're cool. They're crows are so intelligent. They're part of the corvid family, and corvids are blue jays, magpies, ravens, and crows. and other jays. And they're so smart. So if you're mean to a crow, like if you're, get out of my way, and you're kicking the crow out of the street and out into the street, it will go back to its whole family and tell them about you. So be nice to crows, be nice to ravens, be nice to blue jays, because they can be, what's the word?
Vindictive?
Not necessarily. They could be troublemakers. They can just on purpose, just not in a vindictive way. I don't know what they feel, but they can mess with you. They might bring all their friends and be like, you know, they'll.
I'm going to put on a Tron's mask and punch a crow in the face. Just doom you for life.
Imagine. And I don't know you did that, and I'm just like suddenly like.
Why are crows assholes to me?
Not only that, but like, why are they everywhere?
So you'll see them if you're out hiking along the foothills, especially, or even in the mountains, in large crops of trees. The crows will gather in a stand of trees, but they're not there all day. That's just where they roost.
I've heard certain things about certain birds, like magpies, where you're supposed to see two of them together, and if you only see one, I think it's like bad luck or a bad omen or something. But I also have the memory that I think maybe you share, which is not great. If that's what you've been alluding to. If not, I'm sorry for suggesting that. But are you familiar with like folklore like that, or just, I don't know if folklore is the right word, but stuff about certain birds that people believe?
Oh yeah, there's religious connotations after, Native Americans have a lot of spirituality around birds. But as far as you had a bad experience?
No. Oh. I heard that if you see magpies, you're supposed to see two of them together, and if you only see one, it eludes bad luck.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's. I've actually never heard that.
Okay.
There's superstitions for everything.
Yeah.
A lot of people, if they see a crow, they think it's luck. For me, and this has been since I was younger, and it's your own belief system. It's your own beliefs or your own spirituality behind it. For me, it's good luck, or it's a sense of warning, or whatever it is in that moment. It's like, slow down. Like if I'm in a car and there's a crow like leading me someplace, it's either slow down or you're on the right path.
Oh, interesting.
It's your own. I don't know. You could put your own.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have it be a positive.
Yeah.
Thought than you're gonna have bad luck for 5 years. That type of thing. Yeah. It's up to you.
All right, I've got 4 more.
He's We're taking a drink. We didn't even have to. Dang. So that's the Western metal arc.
Did I do that one already?
Nope, that's the one I did earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
I swear there was like 5 birds in that one clip. How do you know which one he's talking about?
That's one bird.
With all those different noises?
I already closed out of the video.
That?
Okay.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
All right, got another one. Problem is I don't know where they start actually calling.
That's a dark-eyed junco.
Yeah.
Zach, you owe us some sips, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, two sips.
2 sips. I agree.
That zip, 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 zip. Dark-eyed juncos you'll see in the wintertime. Here, they're so cute.
All right, 2 more.
Hopefully you guys are
Goes on and
some birds.
That's not a bird.
No, I hope this isn't. I hope this person doesn't spoil for
Which?
me. Nope. I'm gonna do a different video for the same bird. Hold on.
Is it saying what the bird is?
I think we're about to get. Yeah.
Should I wait for it? Wait for it.
Do you know what it is?
Yes.
What is that?
Northern flicker.
Yeah.
Red shafted.
It's so good. Just to give you the answer key, that is definitely what that was.
Wow.
All right, last one.
What's a drink?
Yeah, he's got to get another beer.
I know.
Maybe I'm going deaf. Maybe I'm going blind.
You're right.
That is the rare Robin Thicke.
Oh.
Is that why I've been... I hate you so much. Before you got here, he plugged it in and he was testing sound, and it was that sound. And I was like, why? Hold on a second.
I was waiting to drop that one. All right, where were we?
We were talking about, which bird was it?
Bird ID.
The robin.
Robin Thicke bird. Yeah, Zach played that song right before we started, and I thought maybe you were just turning off what you had been listening to on the drive.
Yeah, nonstop Robin Thicke all day long.
That's funny.
So this is one I caught on your Instagram that I thought was interesting, that the American Ornithological Society will be changing the names of many North American birds. Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of political things going on in the background, just like everything else is changing because of what happened in the past wasn't so nice. When I posted that video on Facebook, I had so much hate. Like it was, I took it as if the way they were making it was my fault that they're changing the names of these birds because I said racist. I said that word. I took it. I think I might have taken that out on the Instagram one, but because some of the people that were named after birds way back in the day, or the person who found the bird and like, this is my bird and it's gonna be mine and you gotta put my name on it. I don't know where that voice came from, but they might not have been a nice people.
Yeah.
And so not saying that all of them were like that. And I don't even know who was like that really. And so for them to not single out every single one of them, they're changing the names of all of them.
Every bird?
What that is named after a person.
Oh. What kind of birds are named after people?
Jaybird?
Nope. So Say's Phoebe is one of them. Audubon, there's a lot of birds named after Audubon. Townsend's solitaire. Cooper's hawk. Anna's hummingbird. And they all have different histories. So Anna's was, I think, the wife of somebody who they named the bird after. I guess, like, ultimately it means birds should be birds and not named after people. Which to me, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
People shouldn't own a bird.
Yeah.
Even though they found it, and I don't know if I don't think they're going to try to erase the history. They're just trying to, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think they're just trying to make it make more sense. So let's say the red-winged blackbird. I'm hoping that if they do rename these, that it's named like that, where it will describe the bird. It might get people to be more into birding. If they don't have to remember Townsend's solitaire, they don't have to remember these people's names. It's hard enough to remember people's names.
Yeah.
But if they named it a color or what it's doing, a behavior,
Yeah.
or the sound, like black-capped chickadee, chickadee-dee-dee-dee-dee, that's where that name came from.
They should make all birds onomatopoeias.
Yeah.
That are actually just describing the
Yeah.
sound that they
Love
make.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there other animals that are named after people? Is that just a bird phenomenon?
No. There's animals too, and this might end up being renamed all the animals. But
Yeah.
that's a big task.
What are the bobcat? Is it named after?
But it's
Some
named
guy
after
named
Bob.
Robert.
No, he has a bobtail.
Robert Cat.
The bobcat has a little bobtail.
Yeah.
So.
What are some non-bird animals that are named after people? I'm struggling to.
The only one I could come up with is like the Woodhouse's toad.
Huh.
Woodhouse was someone's last name.
Hmm.
It's the Woodhouse's toad.
Yeah.
And they actually just renamed a bird here in Colorado that used to be the western scrub jay, but they found DNA is also changing names. So they're finding out, this bird is not even a warbler, and so they have to change everything about that bird. And the western scrub jay was found. There was a western scrub jay in California. They tested the DNA of that bird, and then the ones here in Colorado, and they're completely different DNA, even though they look the same. So now the ones in California are the western scrub jays, and then they named it Woodhouse's scrub jay, but that's going to change.
Yeah.
And it happens. For us birders, it's like, oh. So Audubon Society, or American Society of Ornithology, what is it? Let me have
That
another.
sounded
American
right.
Ornithological.
The American Ornithological Society.
There we
yes. They're doing this very slowly.
Yeah.
I don't think they've even. I did that video last year, and they haven't even started. I don't think.
What is some other beef in the bird world? Like, what's some like hot goss?
Spill the tea on
Yeah.
birds.
what are the birders getting testy about these days?
I think it's the opposite. I think people are getting testy at birders.
Really?
And it's when you go out in the middle of nowhere, and you're not on people's property, but you are on the road looking at their property. And that's not something that's new or anything like that, but it's getting more and more where people think that you're a spy.
Has anyone thought you were a spy?
They come up. See, I go out in the middle of nowhere and in my car, and I film birds out of my car. It's really fun. I just love doing that. And because I have a huge lens, and I like to carry that thing. But yeah, I've had farmers come out, hey, is everything okay? You know, that I like that action, I guess. I'm just going to say that again. But yeah, either they're trying to, you know, they're curious, but some birders have had at gunpoint.
Really?
Phew.
And that's the nice thing about being a woman is I don't think we're as creepy as men with binoculars,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a great point. If I saw a man outside of my property with binoculars,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have a very favorable reaction.
Probably not.
No. Yeah, definitely not. I forgot what my question was going to be. What are some of your favorite areas to go birding? Or like what characteristics should someone look for in a good birding spot? If you don't want to give away your favorite spots.
Oh, it's open. Well, first go to ebird.org. If you even have a park next to you, you can find your park and see what's been seen there recently. If people are active in your area, which they are in Colorado, you'll get real-time stats of what birds are there and when. So there's that, eBird, 100%. If you want to go see a specific bird, look up that bird and see where it's at. But the best places, and eBird will show you that too. It will show you the hot spots. So the red dots are where a lot of birders go because there's lots of birds there. I like to go locally, mostly lakes, so Chatfield State Park, the rivers, and I'm talking winter right now because the ducks they're starting to come in, and but I would just go there and look to see. I'm not trying to like not answer the question. I just don't remember.
No, that's fine. I know you're doing like a guided trip for ducks specifically soon.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the fun facts that you're going to drop at your duck exhibit?
Well, so I'm giving a field trip November 30th, which this isn't going to come out by then.
No.
But I do give field trips once a month. But as far as ducks are concerned, the ultimate goal of those trips is to open people's eyes to see how many types of ducks there are. Because people are like, oh, they're just ducks and they're just a mallard. And there's 20-something ducks that you can just see right there. And some are out in the middle of the water, and some are in along the shore. So you could actually tell. You can narrow down what species they are based upon where they are in the lake. Because there's some that feed, they're divers, and their legs are in the back of their bodies, which they look really funny when they walk. They can barely walk. So those are the ones that run and take off. They run. While the dabbling ducks on the edges, they're the ones that have their butts up. Those are the ones that they can fly straight out of the water.
We have a game.
It is interesting for birders, I swear.
I'm interested. It sounds interesting.
We have a game we play. It's called Fuck, Marry, Kill. Have you ever heard of this game?
Nope.
We name 3 things, and you have to pick 1 to fuck, 1 to marry, and 1 to kill.
Okay.
Ducks, geese, swans.
So let's rhyme. Duck, fuck.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't marry a swan for the life of me. I'll marry a goose over a swan.
What's wrong with swans?
Swans, they kill everything around them. So swan is what?
Kill.
Yeah. I know that's probably, oh my God,
Yeah.
I can't believe you said that because they're so beautiful.
No, one came from my ice cream cone once. They're persistent.
I thought geese were assholes too. They're always
They're-
hissing
yeah.
at me.
Yeah, geese are. That's why I put both of them.
Yeah.
But the geese aren't going to kill the birds around them.
Really?
They'll kill your little kid, but they're not going to kill the geese.
Will a goose kill a kid?
No.
Oh, okay.
They hiss.
But a lot of people
Yeah, I know.
have been attacked, especially as kids, by geese, and
Yeah.
then they hate birds forever, and that's sad.
One
Yeah.
of my friends growing up, this is my crush from 1st grade to 5th grade, Tyler Blumenfeld. He had a scar on his neck, and it was because a goose chased him and attacked him when we were young.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, yeah. And it scars you for life.
Yeah, I've been afraid of geese ever since.
And a lot of people are afraid of birds, like those red-winged blackbirds also will dive bomb. This is during the spring, so it's not all the time. Same with the geese. It's not all the time, but dive bombed by red-winged blackbirds. People just get scared, especially as kids.
Yeah. Aside from Colorado, what's your either favorite place to go bird watching in the lower 48 or a place that you would love to go in the lower 48?
I bird Texas every year. It's a flyway. It's a migration path in the spring, so you'll see all sorts of different warblers. Warblers are little tiny birds that are beautiful, and they're so hard to find because they're gleaning bugs off of leaves and things like that. So they're in the trees. They're hard to see. But I just Texas has something about it, and a lot of birders go down there to bird. Same with Arizona. Just love those places. But I really want to start heading over to the eastern side of things. Texas is considered eastern as far as the birds are concerned because a lot of the eastern birds head towards the east from Texas. So they come from South America, Central America, Mexico, and they go over the Gulf.
Do you have any good bird stories?
Was that a good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like a story, like just like a general story about a bird that you think is really cool.
I rescued a gray catbird one time.
What's a gray catbird?
A gray catbird is a bird that you'll see here in Colorado in the kind of marshy areas in the summertime. And they sound like cats. You should play one. They're kind of cool. They go, meow. They're called a gray catbird. They're gray. They look kind of robin size. They've got a little black cap on their head. But I rescued one they do bird banding in Colorado and everywhere. Bird banding is to see what, it's scientific study of where they go and who has seen them. So if one bander finds them in Colorado, the next one finds it in Mexico, they'll know what bird and how they got there.
Is that when they have the little thing on their ankle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was doing bird box surveys, and I'm so bird nerdy right now. Oh my gosh. And there was this net there, but the wind here in Colorado is pretty bad, and the wind knocked the net down. Usually they have them rolled up really tight, and it had captured a gray catbird. And I didn't care. I cut it out with scissors, and I rescued it. But there's my
That's cool.
fun story. People love to rescue birds. I'm going to do a segue there, but don't. Try not to rescue a bird. And I have this on my website, on all of my social media, that if you find a baby bird, there's different stages of a baby bird that you should take care of. So if it's a naked little baby bird, you try to find the nest. If you take it home, for the most part, it's probably going to die on your watch. Or you can take it to a rehabber. But if you can find the nest, put it back in, because the wind might have thrown it out. But if it's a baby bird, it has most of its feathers, and it's just leave it, because it's being fed by its parents, and a lot of people don't know that. So they're like, oh, the poor bird. And the bird's like, and they take it, and they put it in a box, and they kill it.
I thought if the bird is like any young age and you find it, I thought you're not supposed to touch it, because if the parent smells you on it, they'll abandon it. Is that not true?
That's a tale for kids.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So if you got your scent on a bird, it's not necessarily going to be abandoned by its parents?
No, it's a bad rumor.
Huh.
It's actually a good rumor, because
Yeah.
everyone believes it.
Yeah, but at the same time,
it caught on.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
Good in that people believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think it's bad to give false information?
Well, if you see the nest and you want to pick the bird up and I don't want to, there's so many videos of people rescuing, but they're like trying to grab it with things. And it doesn't really matter. You can grab it and put it back up in the nest. That's the only part about that you could save a life by touching it and putting it in.
Got it.
But yeah, little kids, I think probably were a lot more bored than they are now. They're just on their phones now. But back in the day, they'd be, going up to nests and things like that.
It says this one is the gray catbird.
Gray catbird.
That didn't sound like it.
Yeah, that's the song. So if you look for the call.
Okay. There we go.
They sound like a.
Sounds like the bird you'll hear in Game of Thrones right before someone dies.
Yeah. Is that the raven?
Maybe.
That's fun.
That is a fun one.
Is there like one standout best bird app?
Yes. And it's free. I don't know why they made it free, because they could have made so much money off of it, but they didn't.
Is it like a freemium model where?
No, it's free. It's
Okay.
called Merlin. It's by the Cornell Labs of Ornithology, and it is an app that is turning people into birders every single day. It's one where if you hear a bird, you just press start, and it will identify a bird for you. It'll show you the picture, and also, if you go to a certain screen, it'll tell you all about the bird.
That's cool. Like
so you can
Shazam
know
for
what's
birds.
in your backyard. You could just put it out. Yeah, it is a Shazam for that.
That's
Does it
awesome.
log them? Like it'll keep track of the ones you've
and it
Shazammed?
it records that sound. So if you want to go back and listen to it later, you can.
Huh.
And it will show you. So let's say the bird. There's a whole bunch of birds. It will turn a pale yellow every time the bird is singing. So in real time, okay, that's this bird and that's this bird.
Wow.
It's a fantastic app, and I'm birding by ear, and my whole spiel is teaching people how to remember bird sounds. Like, that's my whole thing. And when that came out, I'm like, now what am I getting to do? But at the same time, having a brain is, out in nature and knowing, okay, that's a black-capped chickadee over there, and you don't have to whip out your phone. There is something to that.
Yeah.
You could still stay in nature without pulling out your phone.
I would imagine with climate change, there's a growing number of species that are endangered. Mm-hmm. Are there any in Colorado that you feel especially sad about, or maybe that there's some optimism that it can be changed for the better?
Well, ultimately, it has to do with our neighbors, which is Mexico and South America, because most of our resident birds are here year-round, but most of those birds go down there, and if they're not taking care of their environment down there, they're destroying the forests, which they are, it's affecting our birds. Same for here. Our grasslands are our bug source. They really are, and we're destroying so many bugs that the birds are getting less and less because of that. And destruction of habitat.
Yeah.
Monoculture does not support birds.
Yeah.
And there are companies down, I believe it's somewhere in Central America, I think it's called Bird Friendly Coffee. And they have trees. They keep all of the trees, so it's shade-grown coffees that help those birds that are coming from here or the resident birds that are there. It keeps their home.
Yeah. Is there anything aside from public lands here, like any organizations that are dedicated to having bird habitats? Is there any way someone listening to this could help, I guess is the question.
Yeah, the American Bird Conservancy. I don't know if that's right. Audubon Society. You could just do $50 a year and that helps.
Yeah.
There's so many different ones, but there are specific ones for birds. And yeah, you just donate, and they're the ones who protect the lands. That's what we need more than anything and then not only for that, but for people.
Yeah.
We have to keep this for our sanity.
Yeah.
We need this outdoors, and people are getting further and further away from it.
We had a guest once upon a time who had some interesting takes on owls. Thought that they were
Adjacent to aliens.
yes, that's a good way to put it. Do you think that there's more to owls than
Whatever.
owls?
I would think octopus are a little closer to aliens, but
Really?
I think those are just aliens, straight up.
yeah.
Yeah. But like any like paranormal weird happenstances, like owls in strange spots at strange times.
There's that, we go back to that belief system.
Yeah.
I love seeing owls. I mean, how
Yeah.
special is that? Especially you're not expecting it, and there it is. There's an owl. It's magical, and again, it's like looking at God. And I don't think that there's anything. It's truly your belief. If you want to think it's an alien and you like that, you go for it.
So you don't believe that owls are aliens?
No, and I know you're going to segue to the next thing.
What's my next question?
That
Tell
they
me.
have cameras in their eyes.
I was gonna ask you if you think birds might be drones.
No. Check it out. I don't know who he is, but it's a man who went on all these news shows and was trying to prove that birds aren't real. So just look up birds aren't real.
Yeah.
And he did this whole scammy thing where they're putting it on the news that birds aren't real, and he did it on purpose. And
What was his motive?
to see what would happen.
It sounds like a Nathan
And
For You
people
episode.
really believe that.
Yeah. If we got someone on here who was birds are government drones, would you come in for the debate?
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be really fun.
Yeah.
Let's get back to that helping birds. I'm getting off of that. I didn't get to finish, but feeding birds and having bird baths and things like that will help them. As long as you keep it all clean. You have to be committed.
Yeah.
So having and bird watching in your backyard, I think is almost the #1 hobby in the United States now.
Really?
As someone that's not even
huge.
like, I'm not the bird person in the family. My wife is that, like I said,
Oh.
but I do enjoy just having birds around. Like, it definitely is a wonderful aesthetic. They sound cool. It's nice when you're hanging outside to see something exotic coming to join you. What are some of your best tips for
Shares are
a
too
good, a good bird ecosystem in your yard? You mentioned a couple of good bird feeder stores and options.
Yeah.
Is there like tips on seed, or does it just vary by region? Like, I guess, give us a good primer on that.
So black oil sunflower seeds, staple. I mean, they do become weeds. Some people don't like that, but they're so easy to pull out. They're not like these super bad weeds. But black oil sunflower seeds, you can get them shelled. You don't have to have the shell. If you want to invite corvids, which are the crows and the ravens, if you're kooky like me, you can get unsalted peanuts in the shell. And they love that. But have different feeders in different areas. Birds feed in different places. They have their little niche as far as where they are. And so the bird seed that falls on the ground, you're going to see doves and juncos and sparrows down there, so, some types of sparrows. And then medium height, you're going to get the chickadees and the nuthatches. Higher up, sometimes you can get the shy birds. And different like a platform feeder will hold larger birds, the ones that are just flat. And then there's cling feeders for the ones that can only cling. So if you don't want starlings, you can get these feeders that kind of deter starlings. Sometimes I feel like I'm going off subject, but maybe I'm not.
No, it's on topic. Why don't people want starlings?
It's a bully bird. That's one of the other bully birds. And I'm not talking, they take nests. Okay, let's talk starlings. Starlings are not native. So I'm talking about European starlings. They're not native to the United States. They are from Europe. Let me have some more beer. And they're not supposed to be here. And because of that, they're not a native bird, and they're not protected by the Migratory Bird Act, which most birds are. So that's one that's like, it doesn't matter. Shooting season on them is year-round. Why? And now I'm a bird lover. And I like starlings, but they take over nest sites of our native birds. So tree swallows, western bluebird, mountain bluebird. They take nesting sites from cavity nesting birds, nuthatches. Or they even kick out everyone and they have their babies. They're the first ones to have their babies. Some of them stay here year round and have babies. So they make so many of them that again, and then they invade more and more cavities. So you don't really want to feed them because they're going to have more babies. You know?
And how do you feed one but not feed another?
So there are certain little feeders that you can, and oh man, it's going to come out. I'm waiting for some shots, but I did this European starling exercise gym video. It's not done yet because I don't have them on all of my... So there's these, you can create feeders that make it hard for them to cling onto. They're not like little clingy birds like American goldfinch. Like there's certain birds that cling. Starlings are more like they have big feet and they don't cling as easily, so they flap. They try to eat something that's vertical. So that's what I've done. I've created a whole bunch of vertical feeders, and that's how you stop them. You don't completely stop them, but you don't. What they do is they eat so much, and they eat almost all your food. They're kind of like squirrels, and then they make babies.
Is there anything sold at bird feeder stores that's a total scam, like the oxygen shots of the bird feeding world?
Yeah, hummingbird nests. And I don't think most bird stores, like the good ones, would even sell those. But if you could see them on Amazon,
yeah,
they're little nests. Hummingbirds make their own nests. The females are the only ones that make their own nest. Males have nothing to do with it, by the way. The female hummingbirds build these little cup nests, and it could be anywhere. It could be in a tree. A lot of times they like old Christmas lights, like they put their nest right on a the loop of Christmas light strings. I've been trying to get them. I've been putting up Christmas light strings
for years.
No, just this year I did it. Sometimes they'll nest underneath your deck more so. I'm getting off topic, but they nest underneath decks because it's downpouring rain, and she has to make a baby. She has to push out that egg. So she has to make a nest really fast, and so a lot of times you'll see them online where the nest is underneath an eave.
How long does it take birds to go from the act of sex to having an egg?
I don't think it takes that long. They have to create the egg inside them, but I don't know.
Okay. You said that she had to have the egg real fast, so it kind of sounded
well,
like...
if she has an egg in her and she
Yeah.
doesn't have a nest yet, she's going to, and it's downpouring rain and she can't build a nest in a tree, she'll go under an eave. And sometimes they do that when it's really hot out too. They want to be in shade. Hummingbirds can have up to 2 broods. A brood is a nest with eggs in it, a year. And I'm just talking about the migrators that come here. And so they'll have an egg, they'll have a nest in the summer.
Yeah.
Sometimes late summer.
I guess it never occurred to me that a bird could be with egg and without nest. Like, unless they got lost or something destroyed the
they
nest.
destroyed the nest.
I guess that makes sense.
Or they'll just pop the egg and move on.
There.
What's up with that?
That's a
Pop
hot topic
egg.
politically right now.
Oh,
I won't go there.
Birds popping eggs?
Nothing.
Oh.
Any
know how to
good
get
tips for bird feeders? Like, is it just as simple as whatever cheap thing you get on Amazon and simple syrup, or like placement? Like, what tips do you have for somebody?
So you're talking about hummingbird nectar? I would recommend getting a saucer feeder, which looks like a little flying saucer. It's got, so they have to put their bill in from the top down. There's side ones that spill in the wind, so that nectar will come flying out, and then you'll get ants and things like that. But I've got my favorite brand. I'm not being sponsored by them, but they're called Aspects, and they've got the best. They last 15, 20 years. They're not a cheapy one.
Yeah.
If you had to play Noah's Ark and
Oh, and
save...
let's talk about sugar water again. Sorry.
Okay,
Sugar
no,
water,
yeah, do
you have
that
to change
first.
out. If you don't have the time to change out your sugar water, don't do it because it will kill the hummingbirds.
Huh.
It's really, yeah.
Because it ferments or what?
People think that it turns into alcohol and they're going to get drunk. It's not. It turns into an alcohol, but it's a different meaning. It turns into a bacteria and fungus slurry after 3 days in the sun.
3 days. Wow.
3 days, and people leave them out for weeks. Oh, I just leave it out forever, and they're still going to it. Well, are they feeding their babies, and are those babies alive now?
Huh.
You know, you have to be serious about it.
Yeah.
How often do you change the sugar water?
Well, there's an insider tip. If you change it, and I don't put very much in it, you don't have to fill your whole feeder up because that's a waste. If they don't drink it, just fill up as much as they would drink. I change it every 2 days, sometimes 1 day, because the fresher the sugar water, the more likely I'll have them in my yard and I'll beat my neighbors. So I'll get them and my neighbors won't. But that's a whole other thing.
Do your neighbors hate you because you're hogging all
No,
the good
my
birds?
neighbors have become turning into birders.
Yeah.
One of them, we've been in the same house for 17 years. She just put up a bird feeder. You know who you are. That's just so, she just all of a sudden her eyes open to birds. And
Yeah.
that's just so exciting to me.
If you had to play Noah's Ark and pick one bird to save, what bird are you filling the world with?
Oh, geez. Probably hummingbird
Okay.
because they pollinate. So they're not just, they're dual purpose birds.
Yeah. Do you have a strong stance on wind turbines? Aren't they supposed to be really bad for birds?
They are bad for birds, but they're not as bad as glass. Our windows are worse than turbines.
Sure.
The turbines, there's been studies. A friend of mine, I think he's done it for studies for 10 years, and you probably have to talk to him, but yeah, they kill lots of birds because they're so fast, but they don't look like they're fast. And so birds think they could go through them and they can't. But when it comes to, downtown cities where they leave the lights on all night long, that's detrimental to birds.
Yeah.
They do have a lights out program, and not all states do it, but they should, during migrations. The birds think that it's stars, and they navigate to stars. So these lights in these buildings, I don't know how many maybe millions of birds get killed every single year, just in the United States, by windows. And especially the ones that look like mirrors.
Is there anything in particular that people can do to minimize that aside from, you said, turning lights off at night?
Yeah. Well, even in your own backyard, if you can see a tree reflection in your window, a bird sees that tree in your window. Or if you see the sky in your window, a bird sees it as the sky. It doesn't know. So you can put these little stickers on there. There's also UV ink that you can put on that you don't see. I don't know much about that, but I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
If you have shutters, sometimes that helps, even if it's inside.
So my 3 young kids putting their grubby hands all over the glass is a good thing for birds?
Sure. I don't know. I think they would still think that it's...
Oh, okay.
So if you have big windows, don't put a bird feeder next to it. I guess that's the biggest thing. They have window feeders, but if it's a big one that's taking in all of the trees and things like that, just don't put a bird feeder near there.
Yeah. You have a big and very passionate social media following.
I do.
Yeah. What is it, 160 on Instagram?
I have 214,000 on Facebook in 1 year.
Wow.
What the heck?
How did that happen?
Facebooks are my peoples. I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of videos on, and this is what's kind of pushed everything on how to attract birds with water features. So there's a DIY component to it. I've had these features in my yard forever, and so I started talking about how to build them, and that's what really, it's more of a universal audience than just bird watchers, because people want waterfalls in their backyard.
Yeah.
Do you have any photos of your backyard? Not for now, but like maybe after.
I've got video. I don't do photos anymore.
I feel like in
Such a
my
videographer.
mind, your backyard is like water feature, bird feeder, water feature,
Yes,
water feature.
yes,
Like it's
yes.
an insane. It's like a mini golf
Like a
course in my
sanctuary.
brain.
It is a sanctuary, and all the flowers are for hummingbirds.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of video or pictures of it. I'm going to do a tour next year, so follow me.
Okay.
I guess that's
A backyard tour.
Yeah.
Been wanting to do that. I don't know why I don't, but
that you raise a good question. What are the best flowers for birds, hummingbirds, I guess, in particular?
I've got it all. I've got a whole series on my Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. But let me just.
Oh, we can keep going. This happens all the time. It's allergy season. Only 11 and a half months out of the year.
That's too bad. So tubular flowers. Here in Colorado, you'll get agastache. I love saying that word because I'm going to say it again. Agastache.
Mm.
It's called hyssop. Penstemon. So if you want to do more native, do penstemons. I think that if you were to... What I do, let me just say what I do, is I have early spring, summer, fall, late fall, and it's all hummingbird related. So find those plants that bloom. So penstemons are kind of early. Hyssops, which agastaches, are really late and they go on forever. One that has attracted so many, and I've never really talked about it, is lantana, and it's not a native flower, but it's here in Colorado. But man, butterflies, moths, it was a bug attractor, and hummingbirds, just hummingbirds all over the place on those things. So find tubular flowers, black and blue salvia, number one. Number one, black and blue salvia.
So it sounds like you're probably over 500,000 followers across your social media platforms.
Yes. I can't believe it.
What are the most common questions that you're getting?
Squirrels. That's a big one. It's so controversial. I mean, it's just anytime I talk about squirrels. What was your question?
Yeah, I guess
What are the biggest questions that
Yeah.
people ask?
The biggest questions, well, it really depends on the video. The biggest question. Okay, edit this out. It really depends on the video. But yes, how do you? It has to do with a lot of pest birds because I do a lot of backyard birding footage. It has to do with the pests and how to stop them. And you can only control so much, but I do try to help them, find their way. But you can only control so much when it comes to pests. When it comes to water features, are there snakes? I'm going to go back to my voice. Are there snakes getting in there? And yeah, there is. There's snakes that gets in there, so don't do it if you got snakes. I love that voice.
Yeah, are you attracting snakes by adding water features? Like, is that something where now I'm going to start seeing
depending on where
snakes?
you are in the country, yes.
Are there many water snakes in Colorado?
No, so I don't get snakes coming into my... I don't get frogs. Some people, down south, they'll get frogs in there, snakes. It will attract It will attract more animals than you think. I get chipmunks. I live right along the foothills, but we get chipmunks that should be high up in the mountains. They come down. Raccoons. So you will get other animals.
Have you got mountain lions?
No, I live in a fenced area. So.
You said foothills, so I figured maybe.
Right on. Yeah, not in them, but yeah.
Sweet. I think we'll go to the Kumo question.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it'll make sense in a second. Shout out to Gossamer Gear. Use code SnuggleBug for 20% off shelters at gossamergear.com. So you're going to reach into Chance's sack here and grab one of her balls. It's like a fortune cookie with a random question for you.
Favorite color?
There you go. Keeping on theme today.
I got to put my glasses on. What is the strangest dream you've ever had? What is the strangest dream you've ever had? It was when I was 6 years old. I still remember it. I was at my preschool, and I put a fly in some water. I can't believe I'm saying this to the world. It's so scary. It's still scary. I was 6. I put a fly in a glass of water, and it made a huge scary face.
Whoa.
Mic drop.
Plug for the YouTube.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Have you ever looked into like what that means?
Yeah, it's a unique enough one. I don't think there's like a dream.
It
book
seems like
chapter
it would be
for
a sick, like if you were sick kind of, when you were a little kid and you had sick, to me that would be that, but
Yeah.
Were you sick?
I don't know. I was sick.
Oh, okay.
Sweet. Well,
Sweet. On that note, bye.
let people know some of the events that you're hosting. Again, this will come out on December 16th. So if you've got any scheduled that are after that date, otherwise we can just let people know your website and they can go there to keep tabs on you.
Let me see what I'm doing.
Sure.
Since I'm here. And some of these dates weather dependent, but let's see. Let me go to my own website. So there are going to be a lot more outdoor trips, and you don't even have to be a bird watcher to go on these. It's ultimately all about education and opening your ears and your eyes to bird sounds. But and these dates may change based on weather. But June 14th, I'm doing a bird videography workshop, which is something I've never done. I think a lot of people are photographers of birds, but they're not videographers. Hummingbird workshops are so fun. We go up to private property where they have lots of feeders, and in the fall, I don't know what dates these are, and these aren't in stone either. I'm not going to say the dates, but in July and August, I'm going to be doing hummingbird workshops, and they are where there's about maybe 12 of us. It's not a big gathering, and we look at the 4 different hummingbirds that we get here in Colorado. So we get 2 in the spring, and then we get 4 different species in the summer and the fall. So we're going to identify them by sight and by sound, because they make all different little sounds, so you have to listen really closely, but you can hear them. You can hear the differences, and you can identify hummingbirds by sound.
Can we end with a hummingbird call? You can.
Yes.
That was the sound. And the tape.
That's their mating call.
Just think of them as giving little kisses.
Cute.
Sweet. Okay, so aside from events that you're doing, please let people know where to go to follow your social media, your website, all that good stuff.
Definitely. I think I've been putting my hands in my crotch the whole time. People are going to like that. So go to Birding by Ear. So Birding by Ear. So you're listening to birds by ear. .com. There you'll find all of my social media links. And follow me on Instagram if you're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm not sure what's going to go on there. But I'm the most active on Facebook and Instagram, and they're different. I try to do different videos on each platform, at least at different times.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
Yeah.
But so follow on both, because you'll get different stuff.
Sure. Allison, this was very novel, very fun. Thank you for humoring our ignorant questions.
Yep.
This was a blast. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
To the Trek propaganda portion of today's show, got a couple of fun ones here for you. One is a former guest of the podcast recently decimated the fastest known time on the Arizona Trail, taken on by Katie Jackson. Nick Fowler, a seasoned long-distance hiker with a track record of impressive accomplishments, has achieved another landmark in his career. He has just smashed the FKT for the AZT, covering the 800-mile trail from Mexico to Utah in 12 days, 17 hours, and 33 minutes. With this, he breaks both the self-supported and supported FKT records, setting a new bar on this one for the nation's toughest trails. Obviously, if you guys are listeners of this podcast, you recognize that name because Nick was on this show in February. It was earlier this year. I don't remember the exact date.
Yeah, he was talking about the PCT.
Yeah, but Nick is a badass, and shout out to you, Nick, for another FKT. And yeah, to do an FKT self-supported and breaking the supported time is nuts. So kudos to you. That we should get him back on and have him talk about that.
Yeah, it like my mind can't conceptualize what that takes.
Yeah, I mean, everything FKT related is just another realm that I will never understand.
Yep.
The other one is 'Tis the Season Backpacker and Hiker Gift Guide, items for under $50. I think instead of giving you some of the items on this list, Chance and I are going to improv a little bit and give some of our favorite under $50 items.
And this is specifically for backpacking or things backpackers like?
Something that you get for somebody taking on a long distance backpacking trip. So it can be gear, but it doesn't have to be.
Here's my caveat, and this kills me to say, because I love surprises. I love giving surprises. I love surprising people, and I love getting surprised as long as I don't know there's a looming surprise. If I know it's coming, I'm going to do everything to get the info out of you. Yep. But as much as I love surprises, I think if you are trying to get something for someone who is backpacking that you want them to take with them, 'tis not the season for surprises. I can tell you a number of things that would be great to receive. For example, a backpacking pillow. I've been contemplating adding a pillow to my kit all year. Haven't done it yet because I haven't had time to get into the nitty-gritty speckies of the differences between them and like go rest my head on a couple at REI. But because backpacking is so like gram and ounce and weight specific and there's a lot of variables, I think this is a time to not surprise unless it's something that you can't go wrong with. But for most things, I would say get some input. Say, hey, I would love to get you something you can take on your trip. I was thinking of getting you a water filter. Would you rather, and I write about this in Hiking from Home, taking some of the mental load of having to decide on some of these items off of someone's plate is part of the gift. So instead of saying, hey, I was thinking of getting you something for your hike, what do you want? That puts a lot of pressure on the person to have to decide something. But to say, hey, I want to get you a water filter for your hike. Which one do you want? That's a step closer. Even better is if you research the water filters for long distance hiking. There's so many articles on the Trek that will narrow it down for you with the hiker surveys. And you go to them and you say, hey, I'd like to get you a water filter for Christmas that you can take on your hike. I saw that Platypus or it's Canuck or these are good water bags. I saw that Sawyer's a good filter or a Beefree is a good filter. Which would you prefer? You know, like taking some of the mental work when someone's planning so much out of it for them is super helpful, and that's a gift. I know I'm getting off topic, but that's a gift. Giving them an option of, hey, what specifically of this genre would you like? That's a gift. And then you know when they pick what they're picking, like, yeah, maybe it's not a full surprise, but you know they'll use it. So that's just a tip for getting a gift, even if it's something small. Socks, I think, are an easy one that you can't mess up because even if it ends up not being the exact right one, everyone loves socks. They'll wear them for something. But I think a good pair of darn tough socks. They've got a lifetime warranty, so if they get a hole in them, the hiker can replace them. That is just like a no-brainer for a low-cost gift that you can give someone. A camp pillow would be my other one, but like you heard my rant just then, I would want to know which one to get. The other thing that you could also get someone that would be pretty no-brainer is like an Anchor, ANKOR battery pack. Like 20,000 is a good size. 10,000, ANKER. Anywhere from 10 to 20,000 is a good size for the MAH. I don't know what that stands for.
Milliamp hours.
But even if you get them the wrong size and they don't use it on a backpacking trip, that can easily be repurposed for a weekend camping trip or for like any other outdoor excursion. So that's a real low risk one where you can't really mess it up. Everyone needs more battery packs.
Yeah. Agree with everything Chance just said. Doubling down on the Anchor is find out what smartphone they'll be taking because that determines the plugs that they'll be using, because the USB-C, the ovally one, charges way faster than the traditional USB. So if you have only ports that are regular USB, your phone's going to charge much more slowly compared to the newer ports. Also totally agree with Darn Tough. 0.6 is also very good. Minus 33 does good work. Any merino high merino blend sock is going to be awesome in the context of a thru hike.
And I know gift cards are kind of lame gifts, but an REI gift card is great because they can get a number of different things using it. Like they could get a pair of socks with it, or they could get their base layer pants, and they have a number of brands to choose from. They could get a Toaks pot using it, and they can choose the size of the pot that will work best for them. They can get a water filter. There's so many things that you could get with an REI gift card, and you don't need an REI near you. There can be an online store that they go onto. Gift cards, like, I don't know, you kind of want something to go with it, though. I feel like opening a gift card is never as satisfying as it feels.
One thing that you can definitely get for somebody. I'm trying to find. I think did they sponsor us at one point?
Yeah.
Shit, I'm blanking on the name. It is Cook It Gourmet, something like that. It's an Austin-based dehydrated food brand. Packet Gourmet. There we go. What is the meal? I'm gonna look it up right now. By the way, I don't think they've sponsored us, so this is no conflict of interest. But
Do you want me to fill space?
yeah, talk.
Okay. Another really good thing you can get someone is a buff. That you can pick like a color that you like. Buffs are great. You can use them as a buff. You can use it to wipe sweat off your face. I usually hang mine from my shoulder, like what straps my shoulder to the other shoulder on the pack, that over the boob strap. I'll loop mine around it, and then I'll wipe sweat off my face on a climb. I've also cut my buff in half and used half for that purpose / headband, and I've used the other half to wipe my pot out when I'm cleaning my cooking pot.
So you use it as a tube top?
I've used it as a tube top, yeah.
I see that more commonly nowadays. I don't know if that's like a fad or...
It's just something fun about knowing you fit into a headband.
Yeah. Okay, Packet Gourmet. The meal that I want to flag here is Dottie's Chicken and Dumplings. If they've sponsored the podcast, it's been several years. I don't want to say that they haven't, but I don't remember. There have been other dehydrated meal brands that have sponsored us more recently. But this meal is fucking awesome. And provided that they're not a vegetarian or vegan, I'm quite confident that they're going to like it. And I think they sent us food for the Backcountry Meal. What was her segment?
Backcountry Meal Critics.
Yeah. I think they sent us the Texas State Fair chili.
Oh, we liked that one.
And
I was
yeah,
the Clean Plate Club.
That was I think potentially the highest rated meal that we had.
Yeah.
So yeah, Packet Gourmet does really good food, and those are both that I can confidently recommend.
I've got one more, which is, and this is another one where I think the big thing is making sure with this one that you follow up, because the gesture is really nice. Let me lay it out. I think if you're a homemade gift kind of person, making a coupon or a gift card, like a homemade gift card or coupon book if you love the person, that's like a bunk at a hostel. You get one bunk at a hostel, and put your Venmo or whatever it is for them to request it from. But know that by the time they go on their hike, they're probably going to feel weird about asking you for it. So if you do give a homemade little voucher that's like a stay at a hostel, which will actually mean a ton to the person, also note in your little gift registry to follow up with them. So when they're hiking, send them a message at the beginning, be like, hey, don't forget, I owe you a hostel stay. It's only like $25. And if they haven't used it by halfway through their hike, send them another message that isn't just a reminder, but says, hey, I still owe you a hostel stay. When can I send you something that you can use at a hostel? Right? Take out the can I, just when can I, right? Be presumptuous. But I think especially towards the end of a hike, money starts to run so thin that staying in town gets hard because it feels more expensive. Budgets are running out, and so to be able to have someone do something like pick up a hostel stay, or even like a voucher for a meal on me when you're in town, right? Like worth $30 or whatever you want to value it at. That stuff is so helpful in the second half of a hike, but just make sure that you're getting on them about it, because they will feel too guilty to follow up and ask you.
Yeah. The other thing I want to flag that everybody who backpacks needs is just a long-handled spoon. Good chance they have it already themselves, and they're cheap. They're usually less than $10 unless you're getting like a fancy titanium one. But yeah, a long-handled spoon is the best. I know people will go super budget and get like the plastic spoon from Wendy's, which is fine, but having a nice high-quality lightweight one is pretty sick.
Mm-hmm.
All right, question of the day. Oh, and Sean's mentioned buffs, the Trek sells buff. So we've got a AT buff and a PCT buff. We're getting very self-promotional this episode, but
this is the us episode.
Yeah, can't not mention it. Okay, question of the day. Should thru-hiking be an Olympic sport? Is this yours? No, this is by... Oh, this is from a listener. Harry, thank you, Harry. That's a good question.
Literally written right there.
Yeah. It's too small.
Should thru-hiking be an Olympic sport? I see a lot of problems in terms of how. I could see it working for the Summer Olympics due to it being in season, or the Winter Olympics, depending on who's hosting and if it might be summer there. But I think
Winter Olympics is typically winter season sports.
What is the Olympic part of it? Is it FKTing? Are they racing?
So that's my caveat here is I think it should, but it should be like figure skating where it's style points and not how fast you do it. Like how many times do you eat out of a dumpster? How many shoeies have you taken? Different point systems or different point allocations for different style hiking. Yes, is my answer. It should be.
We could make a whole pivot website off of this.
Totally.
Hikerbox.com. No, Hiker Buffet. What was it?
Hiker Buffet.
Hikerbuffet.com.
Yeah. Yeah, there should be some sort of point allocation system based on kind of like thru-hiking bingo, but no set limit on points scored.
Yeah, I mean, the other hard thing, though, is how do you separate the, like, official athletes from the everyday hiker that's also on the course?
Everybody thru-hiking is an Olympic athlete.
Is an Olympic athlete,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I could see, like, the Barkley being something that would work.
Yeah. But that's not fun.
That's not the same,
That's not fun. No, I want who can thru-hike in the most hiker trash fashion possible. The person who accomplishes that is the gold medalist.
Yeah. I'm pro the idea based on me obviously loving the thru-hiking world. I need a little more convincing to make it
that was not necessarily heavy. That was just
to make it feasible.
That was guy instinct.
Yeah.
I had an empty thing and I had to throw it.
You've been big on the guy instincts lately.
It's the dad in me.
Yeah.
I think it would be negative points for finishing first.
Okay.
Like you penalize somebody for being too fast.
Sure. Classic.
What other point rewarding behaviors would there be?
Oh, I think someone should follow. I think the officials should follow behind the competitors, and we're not living in the land of the real here, but check their poop holes. Deductions if they're not at least 6 inches deep, because it's 6 to 8. So any shallow poop holes, deduction.
Disqualified.
DQ'd.
Yeah, you're getting DQ'd.
You're going to Dairy Queen.
How many people can you get into a motel room before they catch on and get pissed off?
I don't know if you're supposed to promote that, but yeah, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that one.
Yeah. Listen, super big 8 can come after me.
Yeah. I had that happen in Chester. We put 4 people in a hotel room that had 2 queen beds, and they got really mad at us because they thought there were only 2 of us. And this is such a tangent. I had a conversation with the guy because I was like, in any other hotel, like if I were to go to the Marriott and not be a hiker and I got a double queen room, it's 2 to 4 people. Like there would be no issue with 4 people. Why is it? And you really want to be careful saying this stuff because you want to leave a good impression for hikers. But I was curious. I was like, why is it that because I'm a hiker, you charge more?
I know some places will charge for additional people beyond whatever 2, but yeah, I'm not a hotel motelologist.
So I don't know. I don't like to poke the bear there, but I don't know. Another thing could be style points for how well your tent is pitched, or for how creative of a spot you can find. That obviously doesn't violate LNT. I would give points to earliest out of camp. That's very hard for me to do on a cold morning.
Best trail mix.
Yeah.
And you got to get creative with it. Like, it's got to be at least 50% candy to qualify.
Yeah. I would give points for every time you can use a privy, because we learned on our poop episode that using a privy is better than a cat hole when the privies are available. So bonus points for privy usage.
How many lols you elicit with your trail register updates?
Oh, registering in general
Yeah.
would get you something. Style points for your outfit.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a huge point.
I would love to see like one of those Red Bull races where they like make the silly like cardboard bike costumes where it's like they're riding in, I don't know, insert a funny thing that they've decorated their bike as, but you decorate yourself as a hiker where like you've got like a cardboard box and maybe you're riding a bus, or like you've just made it really silly.
Yep.
Silly points for outfit wear.
Style points for cool trail names.
Yep.
And they have to be associated with good stories. You can't just be like, I'm Thunder Pussy, and why are you Thunder Pussy? Because it's funny. Like, no. You better have
because this one night I was in a shelter and things were rocking and then it started to thunder.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Okay.
I think there's some ideas there. We can definitely
needs fine
refine that, but yeah. All right, Triple Crown of, I think this is mine, Triple Crown of underrated wildlife.
This is yours, and you are lucky that my iPad died because I had Googled it.
Do you want me to start?
Yes.
So what spurred this is my first choice is mountain goats. I feel like when people talk about wildlife they're excited to see, especially in Colorado, mountain goats are never in that conversation. And on the Wiminuche loop hike coming down after I lost my phone, so I didn't get to document it, of course, but there was a mountain goat like 6 feet in front of me on the trail, and I've had close encounters with mountain goats in the past, and I always forget how big and crazy looking they are. They're like stark white, they're massive,
they're scary.
Like, they don't look like regular goats at all.
No.
There's something almost demon-like about them, but they're usually super docile. They're friendly animals. They live in the most crazy environments. I think they live on like cliff's edges. They're just really fucking cool animals.
Yeah. All for mountain goats. My first one is a pangolin.
Oh, one more mountain goat fun fact. Females are called nannies.
Yeah.
And males can be up to 300 pounds, like Shaq. A male mountain goat can be the size of Shaq.
Is Shaq 300 pounds?
I think he probably walks around a little heavier today, but like in his NBA playing days, yeah, he was at 300.
Love that.
Yeah.
Little Shaq goat. A pangolin. They look like they are...
yeah, I think that got famous in the pandemic.
Yeah, they're going to curl into balls and just like... They look like they are... If an animal was a shield or had the ability to turn into like a solid metal, I feel like that is what a pangolin
I think
resembles.
They're endangered because they're such a hot commodity. I don't want to speak out of turn.
They're the world's most trafficked mammal.
Yeah.
Because of their medicine and exotic meat. They're sold for medicine and exotic meat.
I haven't looked into it, but I'm sure the medicine thing is bullshit.
It's like
rhino horn.
An individual pangolin can eat up to 23,000 insects every day. So that's something.
Is there anything medicinal? Pangolins have been used in traditional medicine, especially in African cultures where various parts of the animal are believed to have medicinal properties. Most notably, the scales made of keratin, the same material as human nails and hair, are thought to help with conditions like inflammation, circulation, lactation issues, and even arthritis. However, these claims lack scientific backing, and there's no verified medicinal benefit from using pangolin scales or other body parts. Of course, it's like one of those things that's just be chopping up these animals for your hocus pocus bullshit.
Sure.
Leave the pangolins alone, guys. You get one more.
Ooh, okay. My next underrated animal. That's it, right? Underrated animals?
Yeah, wildlife.
Underrated wildlife. I'm going to go with... Fennec foxes. They are so cute. When I go to a zoo, I want to find the fennec fox. They got just the cutest ears. They've got the smallest, cutest little face.
They look like Sierra.
I want to take one home.
Yeah. Where do these exist in the wild?
The deserts of North Africa.
Okay.
I love how fast I was able to answer that. I sound real smart.
Yeah.
They're so cute. If I saw one of these, even if this was the most vicious animal on earth, if I saw one of these, I would crouch down and try to pet it.
Yeah. As per usual, we're taking different angles on the same subject. I'm thinking like wildlife things that we encounter on trail and whatnot.
Oh, no, I didn't get that.
But that's fine.
Vibe
That's fine.
from the question.
My next one, I was borderline on this one because I think very arguably not underrated, but I'm going to say it anyways. I'm a big fan of bobcats.
Yeah, I like bobcats.
It's very rare. I've seen, I think, 4 bobcats in my entire life, and 3 of them were in one sighting. It was a mom and her 2 cubs crossing the street, and then I just saw another one walking through whatever that little recreation facility is in Southern California in the PCT next to a reservoir.
Whitewater Reservoir?
I don't think that was it. But anyways, he was just trotting along next to us. It was like the least wild environment possible. But bobcats are so fucking cool. And unlike seeing a mountain lion, not terrifying.
Yeah.
You're like, there's nothing but pure stoke when you see a bobcat. They're out there everywhere, and it's very rare, which is why I'm a big fan. And fun fact, apparently unlike other big cats, bobcats are good swimmers.
Really?
They're not afraid of water.
Are other cats not? Well, yeah, cats don't like water, do they?
Yeah, flick a little bit of water in like your house cat's face, and you'll get your eyes clawed out.
If a mountain lion was after you, I mean, if a mountain lion was after you, best of luck. But let's say I'm in camp and I'm camping near a water source, obviously a safe distance away for LNT, and a mountain lion like comes into camp at a far enough distance that I can make it to the water. If I swim into the body of water, am I safe?
They're capable swimmers, though they generally avoid water when possible.
Yeah.
So maybe all cats can actually swim, but it sounds like bobcats are actually like they just chill in water.
If you died by a mountain lion attack, would you rather die on land or in water?
6 of one, half dozen the other, right? I don't know what difference it makes.
In one, you're also drowning, and in the other,
Like
it might take
water
longer.
deep enough that you're drowning.
Yeah, like the mountain lion's attacking
You're not
you
just, like,
in
laying
water
in a
that you
creek.
can't stand up in.
Yeah.
In a sense, it would go faster.
Um,
In another sense, it would maybe be more excruciating. But maybe on land would be more excruciating because it would take longer.
So would you rather die by a mountain lion attack or drowning?
No.
while also getting attacked by
Yeah,
lion?
the mountain lion is attacking you either in water you can't stand in or on land.
I think it's possible that the drowning would be so that would be the overwhelming sense that you maybe don't even notice the attack quite as much. So it's like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Yeah. So,
I'm
okay.
just drowning right now. I'm sure it hurts still, but yeah, at least you're distracted.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
My last one. This is, I think, bona fide underrated coyotes.
Oh. Why are they underrated?
Well, I don't think anyone is thrilled about coyotes, but I think that they are kind of thrilling. Like when I hear coyotes howling when I'm backpacking, I always get excited about it.
Yeah.
Even when I see there's tons of coyotes by us over in North Golden, provided kids and small dogs are in safe places, I'm always very excited by it.
Are yours not just mangy?
They are a little bit mangy. So, I mean, some of them are mangy. And those ones are, I think, a little bit less enjoyable.
Yeah.
But just, they're small wolves. Like, they're
that's
big.
cool.
Yeah. And the fact that they're so adaptive. They exist in every county in the lower 48 in the U.S.
That's pretty
They
cool.
exist in, like, every single possible habitat, basically.
Yeah. I'm used to seeing them, like, when I worked up in Lafayette prior to the AT. There were them. They were outside, like where the little walking path was, so you'd see them while you were going on just like walking breaks. But they were all mangy, so they had like patchy fur missing, like just they looked unwell, which was not great. But we have them at the farmhouse, and if you cook bacon in the morning, sometimes they'll go lay by the apple trees in the back, and that's kind of cute.
That's how we turned wolves into dogs.
Yeah.
You feed them enough times, they become your friend.
Did you hear that foxes are trying to become domesticated? Like actively trying?
I feel like it takes two to tango sort of situation, but I did not know that. No.
Apparently.
Foxes are awesome too. Fox is a great choice for this.
It's not my choice, but I would pick it. Allegedly, they are starting to like emulate traits where they like want you to domesticate them.
Like do cute things, like put their head between their paws,
or just like show up at your back porch and like wait for food.
Yeah, I know. I actually have seen that before. It happens a lot in like Summit County where people are nonchalant with food. There's certain neighborhoods where fox will just like they have neighborhood fox basically that shows up reliably.
Reddit, leave it to Reddit. How foxes are. How do I use Reddit? How do I make that show me what it's saying?
Oh, that's an ad.
No, but there's a...
You want the article?
Oh, you can click the picture. A new study on urban foxes could shed light on how widely domesticated animals began their relationship with humans. Just as dogs descended from a wolf-like ancestor to become man's best friend, so it would seem wild foxes are doing the same. A new study reveals that foxes in London appear to be inadvertently developing signs of domestication. Basically...
Do we need a study to figure that one out? I feel like learning that whales used to be land creatures is like one of those things like, whoa, that's super interesting, like how we got dogs to become dogs. You just give them some beef. Like it didn't...
Well, they're getting the difference is in skull shape between rural and urban foxes, with the latter having a noticeably shortened, wider snout with a reduced something relative to rural fox. So they're like actually physically changing.
Yeah. To be cuter.
Yeah,
and less,
I think so.
Less skilled hunters.
So that's cool. I would take in a fox.
Yeah. In theory, you wouldn't actually.
No, I would.
I don't think you're supposed to say that.
I would not. I would not.
I don't think you're supposed to say that.
I would not. But I might.
Yeah.
Cool. My third one is, I made this one trail specific for you. Martins. Martins. What's that?
Oh, I dated myself for sure there.
Yeah, what was that?
Hold on.
Okay.
You can't read anymore until...
Okay. What is this?
Martin Lawrence had his own show back in the day. It was actually really good.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. They're cute. They look like land otters, or weasels, but apparently they're like pretty pesky and like a little mean. I've also seen things that say that they're small, and then I've also seen things that say that they're big. Size unknown. But when you're doing the AT, as you get further north, you start to see like some signage about martins. I have not seen a martin. My dad says he sees them at the farm, but I haven't seen a martin. It became a fun running joke for our trail fam to just like talk about martins, but they are very cute. Yeah. And I think people forget about them on the AT. They always talk about the bears and they always talk about the moose and the salamanders. They forget about the martins.
This is about as cute as a weasel can get.
Think about otters when you look at it, though. They get cuter.
Yeah. I mean, this thing is pretty weaselly as well, but it's like if you just shrunk down a little dog face and put it on a weasel.
I'm trying to find like some stats on size that shows that they could also be quite big, but what came up was other factors that can contribute to the mortality of American martins include diseases and parasites, exposure to the elements, starvation, roadkill, drowning, choking.
Yeah.
So those are ways that martins can cease.
This says that martins are anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds. So tiny guys.
Yeah. I'm seeing 20 to 25 inches for males. What's the other? Then there has to be another animal that looks like a martin, feels like a martin, Sounds like a martin, smells like a martin, but it's bigger.
Duck.
No, it's like a bigger, Google, big martin. Animal. What is it called? They're on the AT too.
A fisher?
Fisher cats. Yeah, those are the big ones. Those are cool. Those are like jumbo otters.
Yeah.
That's underrated too.
Yeah.
Fisher cats, Google those. They're on the trail. You might not ever see one. I haven't.
Slightly less cute. This is like if a groundhog and a martin had a baby, maybe.
They could be 8 pounds. That's awesome.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That was the Triple Crown of underrated wildlife.
Look at him in the tree. That's cute.
It does look like a bear.
Yeah. Look at his fuzzy little tail. It looks like if marmots became more otter-like and less beaver-like.
There you go. Mailbag.
Okay. I've been devouring your episodes with any mention of the Colorado Trail. Thank you. I am segment hiking it this summer, and trust me, I'm becoming very aware of the logistical pitfalls you've advised against. Very, all caps, aware, smiley face. Okay, so you know I'm going to tell you to please change your mind. Yeah. But segment hiking is giving me the opportunity to invite different people along each weekend, which is part of the whole point, to invite people along and bring others into the outdoors. I'm hiking 400 miles of the Colorado Trail this summer because it's my 40th anniversary of having a muscle disease since I was a little dude. I set a bunch of goals around the same idea, to find new limits, to do some fun stuff, invite people along, and raise money for a good cause. You can see the goals here. It's a link to www.bigwadesxladventure.com/targets. Nonetheless, thank you for all you do and for building such a great community around backpacking. I love the intel, Wade.
bigwadesxladventure.com/targets.
Ah, good reading. Wade, you'll like section hiking it, depending on how big your segments are. But I agree that all the things that you mentioned do sound very fun when the segments are close to where you live. It gets less fun when you're trying to recruit a friend to go on an 11-hour drive to hike and then have an 11-hour drive back.
Yeah. And unlike doing sections of the AT where either hitching or shuttling is much easier, lots of roads, lots of population, out in these small rural Colorado areas where they're remote dirt roads, those options are not available to you. So you either have to stage 2 vehicles, which just adds so much driving time, which is still the most efficient way to do this.
Or out and back.
Out and back is, that's a bummer.
And also not every section of the Colorado Trail is fantastic. Like if I was your friend and you wanted me to ride 6 hours with you to do the Cochetopa section, I'd probably question our friendship by the end of the trip.
Yeah.
Like maybe you hate me.
Yeah.
If you asked me to do that. So, things to think about. But the best way to find that out is to learn by figuring it out.
Yeah.
So good luck.
But hiking for a good cause.
Yeah.
bigwadesxladventure.com. Thanks, Wade. Appreciate you. 5-star review. This is from JJ Hawk with a Q. They feel like Tramley. I discovered this podcast recently and love it so much. The hosts are so funny and down to earth. It's exactly what I needed to help me feel like I have a hiking community. I'm a predominantly solo backpacker, mostly long weekends. I want to begin pushing for longer trips by myself, and these interviews help me realize there's lots of folks like me. Yes, there are. JJ Hawk, thank you so much for your review. If you guys want to hear your review read on this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us any number of stars, just not 1, 2, 3, or 4. And send us a screenshot of your review at podcast@thetrek.co, and we will send you a sticker. Super big thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. Oh, we had a new name. Oh, there it is.
It's in there, bold.
Okay, cool. Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Ben Love, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Brent Stenberg, Brian Alsop,
Fables,
Christopher Marshburn, Coach from Marion Outdoors, Derek Cook, Eric Casper,
The Friendly Ghost,
Eric Hoffman, Jillian Daniels, Greg Knight, Greg McDaniel, Griffin, hey, would you bring me a beer? Haley Buckingham,
Palace,
Liz Seeger, Mud Tom.
I just like that you're saying it that way.
I don't know. I'm
What
trying
does that mean?
Trying to get some circus music around it. I don't.
Okay, do it again. Let's try it again. Start from Haley Buckingham.
Haley Buckingham.
Palace.
Liz Seeger. Mud Tom. Doot 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 doot. I don't know why.
Oh yeah,
that's
that's great.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie Mud?
No.
Very good. Highly recommended.
What's it about?
With Matthew McConaughey. You just have to see it.
Okay.
Patrick Ciancialo, Rebecca Brave, Sawyer Products, Spam, Timothy Hahn,
Solo.
and Tracy Trigger. And thank you to Polly from Old Man Murph's Coffee, our editor, the guy, ommcr.com. You can follow us on social at Backpacker Radio on Instagram and TikTok, at Backpacker Pod on X, Facebook.com/Backpacker Radio. You can follow Chance.
You can find me on Instagram at Juliana_Chauncey, on YouTube at Juliana Chauncey. And I have some opening in the schedule coming up. So pinkblazepro.com. This is where I do video editing for hikers, for hiking videos. If you have finished a trail this summer and you want to compile it into a cute video for yourself, just check out the website pinkblazepro.com. I take on projects based on availability, but I've got some time coming up, so hit me up.
We're setting a new record for self-promotion.
I figured I would throw it in there because we're already on such a roll.
Yeah. Store.thetrek.co. If you guys want some cool...
What's your Venmo?
Don't do that. Buy something.
Well, I couldn't put the book there. We did the book enough at the top.
Yeah, the book's in there. The book bundle's in the store.
Yeah.
And you can shop around while you're there if you want. I'll hate you for that. And it's free shipping on everything, $65 and over. So
you priced it at $60.
Well, the free shipping thing happened before. No, we're selling it for $40.
Oh, right. The value is $60.
Yeah.
You're right.
We're all about value. So if you
Cool.
get two bundles, then you
Yeah.
get free shipping.
Yeah.
Or a bundle and a buff
Yeah.
and maybe a couple stickers.
Yeah. What else do you sell, Zach?
We got hiking shorts, we got shirts, we got hoodies, we've got beanies, we've got trekking hats, we've got camper hats. Really all the good hiking stuff. Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube.
Hi, Internet.
Definitely want to see this one on YouTube with all the birding calls.
Yeah.
If you don't watch it, you're going to think that we were just playing audio clips, but no, that was actually Allison doing it with her own mouth and voice.
It was wild.
Yeah. And that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening, and happy hiking.
Bye.